Hello lovelies, it's Sage from sagebehabs.com here with you. And today we're going to be talking about what to do when you get into a conflict with a friend. When they hurt your feelings, they piss you off, they say something that rubs you the wrong way, and you're an adult woman who is smart and capable and competent, and yet you all of a sudden feel like you're thrust back into middle school or something, and you're trying to figure out how to navigate this messy relationship world we live in. So I get asked about this a lot, just from really bright, amazing women who are out there in the world really trying to form deep, meaningful relationships and build their communities and their tribes, their connections, and they get slighted or they get their feelings hurt and they feel like, oh, what do I do? Like, I don't want to cause more drama, or maybe it's just not worth it. I don't know if that person will ever change anyway, so why bother having the conversation? So that's what we're talking about today. When you have a conflict with a friend, as an adult in the 21st century, how do you navigate that in a way that really restores your connection? So a few things that I want to share with you. First and foremost, you have to decide that you are going to have this courageous conversation. So a lot of times, always actually, when my friends or the women I work with come to me with this kind of problem around a friendship struggle or challenge or conflict, they're like, well, I don't even know if I should talk to them about it. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it'll cause more drama. I don't know if anything will change anyway. But they are bothered by it, or they would be talking to me or to somebody else about it later. So the first question is, okay, how much is this still sitting with you? And is it worth having that maybe scary conversation or that sticky or messy conversation in order to resolve it? And most of the time, I think the answer is yes, especially if you want to live a life with deep and meaningful relationships. So there are times when the answer is no. Maybe if it's politics or religion with somebody in your family and you know that any amount of discussion isn't going to change your polarized point of view, it might not be the time to have that conversation. But when it comes to a conflict with a person in your life that you care about, a friend, you really want to decide to go more naked, which I call, naked to me is being more clean, more clear, more compassionate and courageous in your connections and in your relationships, right? Really being open and vulnerable and brave. So here's the thing. So the first is to decide you're going to have that kind of conversation, that courageous and hard conversation, right? The second is to go naked with it, meaning you want to have restoring of connection as your primary goal, right? So you don't want your goal to be right. You don't want your goal to be to prove them wrong or to let them know what a jerk they were, or only about it being how much they hurt your feelings. You want the primary goal, the naked goal, to be about deepening and strengthening the relationship, restoring the connection and the love and the affinity in that relationship. So that's number two, right? So number one is know that you're going to have that conversation, choose you're going to have it, and be bold and courageous like that. Number two is go naked with it, meaning have your primary goal be to restore the connection. And then the third thing is to come from love. So I know that sounds kind of cheesy or woo-woo, but it's true, right? So my mom used to say this to me all the time. If you come from love, you can say anything. And if you don't come from love, you can say nothing, meaning the person just won't hear you, right? If they feel that you're judging or attacking or proving your point, like it doesn't get in, it's like you're just going to have that response that you expect, which is to be met with a resistance, or you won't get to the place of repair, right? So you want to come from love. So oftentimes you can't have these courageous conversations with a friend until you can get back to why you love them, why they're important to you, what do you value about your friendship, right? If you do it when you're defensive or angry or hurt, it's just going to come out that way, right? So when I was talking to a girlfriend about this the other day around my dining room table, that's what I was saying. I was like, you got to get to a place where you can let go of the rawness of how you felt when she said that thing, and you want to come from why you love her, right? So you have to come from love so that you can really say, this is how much I appreciate our friendship. These are the ways you've been there for me. This is why we laugh together. And when you said what you said, it really stung. It really pissed me off, or it really hurt me. And I don't know why you would say that. And I'd love to understand that better so that we can be friends again because I love you, right? So you want to come from love. And then lastly, you want to really believe that there are multiple interpretations to what happened in that conflict, right? That your interpretation isn't the only one, that you're not absolutely right, okay? Now, your feelings are valid. So if you felt hurt or offended or insulted, that's okay. That's real for you. But when you go to have the conversation with the person, you really want them to be able to say what was there for them. Like, oh, I was having a really shitty day that day. I'm totally sorry. I shouldn't have put that on you. Or maybe they're going to say, well, sometimes I feel like you think you know it all and I get pissed. And so I fight back. You have to be able to hear their interpretation, their point of view, and maybe their feedback. Because oftentimes when somebody says something snarky or mean to you, it's because they're mad about something and they're bringing that with them into this conversation, right? So number one is decide you're going to have that courageous conversation. Number two is to go as naked with it as you can, meaning naked communication. The goal is to restore connection, to deepen and strengthen connection, to create loving and powerful relationships, right? And in order to do that, you have to be clean, clear, compassionate, and courageous. So that's the naked piece, right? You're not going in to prove your point. You're going in to restore the relationship. The third thing is to come with love. You got to come with love. This has been a hard one for me because it takes like a lot of deep breaths for me if I've really gotten my feelings hurt, and it takes a little space and time and reminding myself of why I really love that person, and then I can go back in, right? With love. Like what I want more than to fight is to be friends again. And then the last thing is have space for whatever, their interpretation is as well. And that's hard too because we really think we're right. And again, your experience of your feelings are valid, but it doesn't mean that the way that you remember that conversation happening is exactly how they'll remember that conversation happening. But if you go back to number two, which is connection is your goal, then you can let go of your tight tie to how you interpreted the situation. There's more space for their interpretation to come up, okay? So that's the deal. So the reason that this comes up all the time is because people want to be in relationships that are awesome. That's why, when we get our feelings hurt or we have a conflict with a friend, why people ask me that question and why I've dealt with it myself as a friend many times is because we care about the quality of our relationships. And we know on some level that our happiness is directly related to the quality of our relationships. So know that you're going to have these courageous conversations when you get your feelings hurt. Go naked, making, yourself honest and courageous, and with connection being your primary goal. Come with love, lots of love. Sometimes you have to bring enough love for two of you. Some people aren't present to love the way that you are. You might have to be the leader in that communication in the relationship. You might have to be the communication leader in that relationship. I was just talking to a client about that. And number four, have there be space for lots of interpretations and not to polarize right and wrong as a black and white, yes or no, finite thing, right? Let there be space for different interpretations so that you can come back to forgiveness. So, and partnership and relationship and connection. So that's what I have for you all today. I will see you next time on naked communication and how to use it to really create your version of a badass and brilliant life.